gamers. We're here today to check the new balance patch. Okay. So I have been away for a bit. We just finished Wings of Liberty campaign, so the videos on YouTube might come in a weird order. But August 6th, the patch notes have been released. Balance patch notes. I was actually not expecting this, by the way. I was not expecting another balance patch. But here we are. Blizzard giving me some content. I mean, that's a video right there. All right. 502 patch notes, August 6th, versus Zerg. I have not looked at this, by the way. I saved them for you guys, even though it's 11th today. Zerg Baneling. Weapon damage changed from 18 plus 17 versus light to 15 plus 20 versus light. Alright. Wasn't this something that they talked about before? What happened to it? Did they go back on it? Or am I crazy? I feel like they wanted to experiment something like this, but then they backed out on it, so I guess they're going back into it. They nerfed it from 20 to 18. Wait, they're nerfing it further? They went from 20 plus 15 to 18 plus 17, and now it's 50 plus 4. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I remember they didn't go through it. All right. Yeah, they just doubled down on it. Okay, so I'll tell you guys why this is. Baneling, I know this is going to sound weird, but at a pro level, Baneling is considered one of the best units. Like an S tier unit. The reason for that is most units in game, when they morph from Zerg into another unit, like Corruptor into Broodlord, Roacher into Ravager, they take another supply. Banelings don't. So basically, if you have 200 Zerglings, that's a mech kind of supply, right? Just 200 Zerglings. But if you make, let's say, 100 Zerglings and you morph them into Banelings, they become way stronger. And I know this sounds silly because it's like, well, you do morph them for gas and minerals. The point is, the Baneling is half a supply, right? That's how you should look at it. Because 2 Zerglings are 1 supply. One Baneling is half a supply. And for how much Baneling does, it is too strong for its supply. I honestly think one of the ways to nerf Baneling would be to maybe make it so that when you morph a Baneling, it's like 0.5 supply. But I guess they decided to go with damage, right? Can a mode pause the notes with commentary? What? Anyway. So what they're basically doing is they're gonna nerf the Baneling versus armored. So they do want the Baneling to be a unit used versus light units. Like versus Zealots, Marines, Ling Bane. But they want to nerf it versus armored units. And I honestly don't think this is too much of a problem versus mech. Because, you know, Banelings versus mech they're used. They're not used all the time, but they are used. This is more of a problem, this is more of a fix, I guess, for ZVP. Because obviously against Bio, this won't really change much, right? I mean, yeah, you're going to hit tanks for a little bit less, but you're still going to hit Marines, and it's going to be a nerf versus Marauders. So you can kind of make Marauders to soak up the damage, and that's all great. This change was 100% made for ZVP. Because currently in ZVP, if you've never watched pro games, what ends up happening is the moment the Proto steps on creep, if the Zerg gets the surround, the Banelings will wipe out anything, right? It will wipe out the Stalkers, it will wipe out Immortals. Archons are not armored or light, but it just wipes out everything, and there's no real reason not to make Banelings, right? Versus Protoss. Because they're just good against everything. And I think that's the problem in the unit. It's extremely cost efficient for its supply, specifically, not necessarily for its cost, because you do suicide them, but for their supply. So this is going to mainly target ZVP. How does this change ZVZ though? Math in early game Link Bane will change. How? This is patch notes with comments from Blizzard team. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Let's look at this one. It's basically the same patch. It's just comments with, what are they called? With developers' comments. Okay. Hey, y'all. With the recent celebration of 10th anniversary of our beloved game, the conclusion of DreamHack Master Summer, and the imminent finale of GSL Season 2, we'd like to take this time to update you all on our thoughts about blah, 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 blah. Alright. As we haven't seen many changes in TVT and ZVZ, we'll be focusing on talking about the other matchups. TVZ. Though we had some concerns regarding this matchup going to a current patch, the changes to Zerg seem to have been offset by changes in the map pool. Currently, we feel TVZ is very diverse and dynamic, with possibly the highest number of strategies being employed from both sides in the matchup ever. Okay, that's a bold statement. Is that true? That doesn't sound like that's true. I don't know about that. Yeah, that can't be true. At least from Terran point of view. Specifically, we'd like to call out the rise in popularity of mech. I mean, Blizzard, like, they've been saying this for legit last 10 years. We've seen rise of popularity of mech. Yes, it's rising because it's fucking dead. So any action with mech, it's rising, okay? If something's dead and no one plays it, if one person plays it, it's rising. I mean, that doesn't say much. Like, legit, guys, if you've been playing StarCraft for 10 years, mech activity has been rising the whole time. Like, I literally, every time I see a mech change, they say the mech popularity is rising. I mean, where is it? What, is it at 2% popularity right now? You know what I mean? Okay, it's not 2%, but you know, it's constantly rising. That's funny. Transitions from battlecruisers into bio and general lurker play. I feel like transitions from battlecruisers to bio is more dying than rising because it used to be extremely popular. It's still popular, but not as much as it used to be before. General lurker play. Okay, lurker play, I'll give you that. Lurker play is rising, okay? We're excited to see how this matchup develops. A lot of trends, well, from what I know in TVZ right now, I'm going to comment on this real quick. From what I've seen and heard and played myself, the mutas seem extremely strong at a high level. Extremely, extremely strong because some of the maps are very big and Zerg can force base rate situations really quickly, especially with the amount of creeps rate they have. The mutas are just so difficult to deal with. And I know there's some like Pepega in the chat like, just make Thor's Poogers. Yeah, good players don't clump up their mutas and die to Thor shots, so Thors are actually complete garbage. It's very, very hard to deal with mutas at a high level with the current map pool. It's kind of interesting that I haven't mentioned that at all. TVP. A lot of trends we've noticed and much of the feedback we've received of this matchup focus on the early game. Early tank pushes have become less powerful and less common due to skill battery overcharge. Widowmine drops with fast army is a new opening that has popped up with mixed success. Earlier in the patch, Cyclone in the patch cycle, a Hellion-based opener saw both a rise in popularity and success, which we believe is due to a combination of how commonly Protoss players rely on certain variations of Blink openers and recent changes to the map pool. Though there's some contention on this topic, our current belief is that given an even early game, the rest of the game also feels even, and there's a lot both races can do to impact the outcome of the match. Overall, this is another matchup that we think mostly needs some time to breathe and develop. I mean, isn't every TVP opener Blink Stalkers? Am I wrong here? Isn't every single 95% of PVTs just Blink Stalker openers into third? So what is actually developing? We've had that for the past 4 years. Okay, maybe not 4, but 2 years. So I do agree it's more diverse in mid to late game with Terran not actually just straight up dying to Protoss. But like the early game is not developing at all. Like you have three openers, I guess, this Terran. You can do the Hellion drop. Well, actually, 4 openers. I'll be honest. You have 4 openers from Terran and 1 opener that's most commonly used from Protoss. You have the 3cc, which I think at a high level with no harass, 3cc is not that great. You have the Widowmine Armory drops, which are super predictable because it is the best opener. But because it's the best opener, it's actually not that great because it's so expected. You have the fast tank pushes, which they've said that they're losing popularity, like the fast 1-1-1 after expanding tank push. And then you have the Hellion run-by/drop, and that's very map dependent. So, I don't know about that. Stargate versus Hellion drop is hard to defend. Not really. You just make Phoenix and just lift up the Hellions, that's it. Alright. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about developing. I don't think the matchup is going to develop at all. I think the matchup has been played out pretty much exactly the same. Although I will say it has been an improvement in mid to late game. PvP, and also disruptors are kind of too all in. I wish disruptors had a middle ground of like they're not necessarily like one shot game ending or you miss a shot and it's game ending, but something in between. And I guess that's reverse technically, but I think disruptors in PvP are either too good or too bad, and I don't know how good that is. PvP. With the introduction of skill battery overcharge, PvP has seen an extreme shakeup since the last patch. It seems to be developing week by week, and no player we reached out to believes they fully understand it yet. However, we'd like to discuss what we've been seeing in the matchup recently phase by phase. In the early game, we've seen the introduction of brand new openings such as 1 gate fast expanded Nexus first. While some players find these new openings interesting and exciting to play with, others dislike that the increase of potential viable builds could increase the impact of build order advantages. I mean, that's how that works, right? The more builds you have, the more chance of rock, paper, scissors happening. But that's true for every matchup, even if it's not a mirror matchup. Like, just because the matchup is not a mirror matchup doesn't mean there's no rock, paper, scissors, right? So I don't know about that comment from pro players. That happens in every matchup. Obviously, it's more expressed in mirrors because it is a mirror matchup and you're playing with same units, but I don't know if I would say that's necessarily bad. Because it's not like a rock, paper, scissors insta win or insta loss. It's just a minor advantage. But again, it happens in every matchup. As for proxy robotics, while we've seen a decrease in usage of these strategies, there's no clear consensus for exactly how much battery overcharge helps in defense. While it certainly helps to some degree, the most common feedback we hear is that it's not really a make or break ability for this purpose. Because our original intention was not to necessarily completely stamp out this build entirely, and feedback is still developing on this issue, we're going to keep an eye on it in the future. Okay. Moving into the mid game, we've been seeing a lot more blink builds, which we attribute to defensiveness that shield battery can provide on 2 and 3 bases. In addition, battery overcharge seems to have been very successful in discouraging the 3 base Archon Immortal Zealot all-ins that we have typically seen ending games in the past. This brings us to late game. Because of how mid game now typically play out, 4 base plus PvP seems to be much more common lately, with Stalker, Disruptors, Carrier, Tempest, and Blink, Dark Templar all making regular appearances. As a result, we've been regularly seeing some of the most epic PvPs ever played, and it really feels this matchup has been blown wide open. So I was away, basically had a break for like 10, 12 days, and I can't really comment, and I won't really comment without actually seeing the games. I do think that PvP used to be terrible because it was either 1 base or it was 3 base Zealot Archon Immortal. I agree with that. That was bad. And I have actually seen a few really cool games before I went on that little break from streaming. And from just StarCraft in general. But I think 1 base builds should remain viable, right? And 2 base builds should remain viable. And I think if you know, people are still figuring out things. You don't figure out things in like a month, right? It takes a bit longer. But I do think that if the whole gameplay is to expand one base, like fast expand and go into 4 bases plus every PvP, that is cool and it will provide for cool games. But that shit's gonna get old real quick. And the way you keep that fresh is you have 1 base viable, 2 base viable, 3 base viable. If you have every game reach 4 bases plus, that's also bad for the game, and you don't really want that to happen. So I'm generally curious how this develops, and the reason, by the way, why people go for Blink Stalkers, they said they're seeing rise in Blink Stalkers. The reason for that is they can basically avoid the shield battery overcharge, right? If they engage, you can one-shot a unit, you can blink out. And also, if the opponent is going for Immortals early on or Stargate, the blink actually counters both. And the way that blink counters both is if the opponent is going for a robo-based play with no blink, they're going to be stuck in their base, and sure, you won't be able to kill them, but they're going to be stuck in their base while you can get your third and then overwhelm their push with economy, or if they try to get a third later, you'll just have more economy. And if you're facing Stargate, well, Blink Stalkers are obviously good against that. So there's no actual reason to not go Blink Stalkers. Before the skill battery overcharge buff, you could basically go robo-based play and you could just push across the map and kill the Blink Stalker guy. But now you can buy a lot of time with Blink Stalkers. You'll force the opponent to play a little bit passive, and you'll be able to basically delay long enough till you get the charge lots and, you know, crush that push. But I'm curious to see how this will play out, because I don't think we've ever had PvP late game beat a meta. I feel like PvP was always like 1 or 2 base, maybe 3 base stops. So, I mean, if it moves away from every game being 1 or 2 base, I don't mind it, but I just want it to not be the main thing. ZVP. With a few exceptions, the feedback we've received on the changes made to the ZVP matchup in the last patch indicated they've been helpful. That is, the change to the Queen range has been noticeable, the energy cost change to Revelation allow it to be an effective creep clearing tool, and the increased range for feedback has been significant in late game interactions. In addition, Battery Overcharge has shown to be a powerful defensive tool, especially when it was first released and Zergs were not yet used to its potency. On the flip side, Revelation's lower duration, while not a game breaker, does impact its use in the late game. We've also received mixed feedback from players as to the impact of the Baneling damage changes in the last patch. Oh yeah, so they did go through it, okay. While many have told us that these changes have gone mostly unnoticed, some players note that they've seen an uptick in Stalker robo compositions, partially due to this change, especially from Korean protoss. Yeah, Parting, I think, was the first protoss that started this. The whole mass Blink Stalker Sentry Colossus. And honestly, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I would rather watch Blink Stalker Sentry Colossus all day instead of Zealot Archon Immortal garbage. It's like Zealot Archon Immortal is like zero brain activity, and it either ends the game straight away or you get rolled. Stalker Sentry Colossus is much more skill-based because you actually need to use your force fields and blinks properly, and you need to protect your Colossus. And when you play a ZVP against a good Protoss, you will not be able to touch the Colossus, and you'll be so frustrated how well they're protecting it. While if you play against new Protoss, you're just gonna get rolled over. I mean, I don't mind if the game is leading into this direction. I don't mind it at all, because I do think that just Stalker in general as a unit is more fun and interactive than a Zealot. So if I had to choose Stalker based play or Zealot, I'll always choose the Stalker, for viewing experience at least. Ultimately though, the last patch has not produced the lasting impact to ZVP win rates that we had hoped, and most of the feedback we currently receive about this matchup from professional level Protoss players remains similar to what we had received before, just to a slightly lesser degree. For reference, the majority of this feedback relates to the following: the efficiency of the Baneling, both as a combat unit and in a harassment role, the inability of clearing creep without necessitating the presence of the entire Protoss army. Yeah, I mean, these are things that have always been a problem, and I remember when I discussed it in the last patch notes, it still remains. Based on all this feedback, we're led to believe that while we were heading in the right direction with our changes, perhaps we had not gone far enough. Oh, shite. In addition, we'd like to address the community's current stance on ZVP late game. Our perspective is that the community at large currently believes that ZVP is heavily Zerg favored. Well, community doesn't believe. It's the fact. Like, look at the win rates, look at the tournaments. You don't need to believe anything. Like, just look at the stats, right? On this topic, what we hear from many top Protoss players is that the late game unit interactions between the two races are not incoherently lopsided, especially after changes to feedback. In fact, there are players from both sides who believe it is Protoss favored. Interesting. Rather, there's an agreement that the primary problem with the late game is the difficulty of getting there on equal footing with the Zerg, especially in the face of constant harassment that the power defensive Banelings and creep and general unfettered creep spread, as Protoss often feel like they have to choose between expanding and pressuring. True. Our thoughts on this feedback is twofold. First, the most impactful changes we attempt to make in this matchup should focus on the mid game. And second, while there might be room to adjust a few things in the late game, we should do so with a focus on improving how typical late game plays out. From a design standpoint, while we're sure we can increase the Protoss win rates by granting Protoss international straight, raw late game power, we don't think this would lead to particularly desirable gameplays that might further encourage the stalemates entirely we've historically seen in the matchup. Rather, the direction we'd like to take is to grant Protoss additional tools that encourage interactivity from both sides. Without further ado, here's some changes we'll be featuring in the next balance patch. Okay, so this is what we read earlier. So they're further changing the Baneling to do, again, less damage versus armored and same damage versus light. However, because we believe in the direction of this change, we've received feedback that has gone mostly unnoticed in all matchups. We feel more comfortable going a bit further. This is quite a big change, though. I'm sure there's going to be some numbers that it takes just straight up more Baneling shots to kill certain armored units, and that's already quite a big nerf. After this change, +2 Banelings would take 4 more shots to kill Archons and Immortals, and 2 more shots to kill Stalkers. That is actually big. That is actually big. I'm surprised they went this far into it. Like, if they went with, I don't know, +2 Banelings will take 2 more shots to kill Archons and Immortals, and 1 more shot to kill Stalkers, I feel like that's already big enough, because you have to remember, these units, right, like Banelings, they're tier 1 unit, you're massing it. So, I've talked about this many times. There's a difference when you nerf 5 damage on a Tempest and when you nerf 3 damage from 18 to 15 or armored on Baneling, the unit that's massed. So I feel like this is quite a big push they're doing. And this will definitely help Protoss if this change goes through. I feel like they're going to be reverting this to like instead of 4 shots to kill Archons and Immortals extra, to like 2 shots and then 1 extra shot on Stalkers. I do feel they're like trying to tip it over to the point where the win rate changes for Protoss, and then they'll find a middle ground, I think. We'll see. This is insane, too big of a nerf. Additionally, it will not take 3 Banes to kill 1 Bane. Oh yeah! Because Banelings are armored. Right? Wait, Banelings are armored, right? Banelings are light. Wait, Banelings have 35 health. Banelings are neither? Only biological, okay. Oh, I see what the problem is. See, these are the things that I wouldn't really think of. Okay, so this is what's happening, what chat's telling me, and you guys can probably see as well. So the Banelings have 30 health, and because this change is going to be 15, damage. So it will take 2 Baneling shots, just like now, to kill a Baneling if they explode at the same time. But if they don't, so basically, if one Baneling explodes into 2 Banelings, if a second passes, the health regen will tick, and those 2 Banelings will have 16 health, and then if the second Baneling hits them, they're gonna stay on 1 health. So you're technically going to, basically, right? You're going to need 2 Banelings manually activating with X hotkey to explode at the same time, so there's no tick regen in health. Or you're going to need 3 Banelings to kill Banelings. I mean, people are saying ZVZ is ruined, but is it really going to ruin it? How is it going to ruin it? Maybe it's going to be less explosive. And is that really a bad thing, though? I think it might make it more interesting, to be honest. I mean, I honestly don't know. I feel like this is one of those, like you know, I am GM with Zerg, but I'm not that good. I always said it's my weakest race by far. But I feel like this might play out for the better. It will take more Banes to defend against Bane all-ins, and 0Z will become more all-in focused. I don't know if that's true, because you still one-shot Zerglings, and you can always fully wall versus all-ins. I mean, the Never Attack series that I'm doing, you can just fully wall and make queens, and that's it. I can see Baneling aggression being more of a thing of like 3 bases. Like 3 base versus 3 when you're kind of like 30, 32 drones. And yeah, roaches are going to be stronger versus Banelings, but roaches are already strong versus Banelings. I actually don't know how this is going to play out. Because I can see what you guys are saying. It's going to be more all-ins, because basically if you start rolling 2 Banelings at a time, if you don't execute it perfectly, 2 Banelings will roll in with 1 health. So I don't know. I'm curious how this is going to play out in ZVZ, to be honest. I'm not actually sure. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Well, I guess we'll see. Protoss, Oracle. Revelation duration increased from 15 to 20 seconds. Our aim with this change is to increase Revelation's endgame usability without making it too easy to continuously tag enemy armies in the mid-game. We considered a few options to accomplish this, but in the end found this tweak that the cleanest solution. So they're just straight up buffing Revelation. So Revelation used to be 30 seconds for 50 energy, and then it went 25 energy 15 seconds, and now it's 25 energy 20 seconds. I don't know what to think about this one. I mean, they say our aim is to increase the Revelation's endgame usability without making it too easy. But that's implying that it's not being used. Like, it's being used, it just doesn't have a perma vision on the enemy army. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, sure, I guess. This is a Zerg nerf. I mean, it's a nerf for Terran and Zerg, because once you know what this is for. Obviously to keep track of the armies, but this is going to be very, like, 5 seconds might not seem a lot, guys, but 5 seconds at a pro level is a lot. And basically this will have an impact, the biggest impact in Tempest versus whatever plays. That's it. Void Ray. Void Ray decreased from 250, 150 to 200, 150. Guys, Void Ray build time decreased from 43 to 37 seconds. Movement speed increased from 3.5 to 3.85. What, are we doing mass Void Ray again? Oh no 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 no. Dude, this is so sick. Like, how did I... Like, you know what I thought of instantly? Right? These two, this is gonna make skill battery rushes with Void Rays so easy to do. I mean, they're making 6 seconds faster and reduce cost in minerals. So each 2 Void Rays, you'll be able to build an extra shield battery. As the Void Ray is one of the least commonly used units in our game, we thought now would be a great time to grant it a niche. How do you read that? Niche? That lines up with what Protoss struggles. Like your city? Okay. Struggles at the moment. The niche... Such a weird word. We had in mind in PvZ was that of a multi-purpose mid-game unit with the ability to clear overlords, zone out and or spread creep, and to turn Baneling drops. Man, imagine if you were a unit in the game and your job is to clear overlords in the mid-game. You kill one overlord, it's like, okay, dude, back in the trash can. It's like, good job, dude. Hey, you kill the creep tumor? Hey, get out of here, dude. Your job here is done. And Voiders are... Amazing. Holy, imagine that. Expensive Phoenix, yeah. But it has laser. Well, Phoenix has lasers too. As the primary feedback we get about the chat ray is that simply it's not efficient. Well, it's shit. Of course it's not efficient. It loses versus everything. Our first step was to lower both its resource and build time costs. In addition, we believe it needs a slight mobility boost in order to fulfill this role. Oh god, so they want to change its role completely. So we'll be increasing its movement speed to match of a Viking or Banshee? Oh no. Well, good luck kiting Voiders with your Vikings. As 2 oracles plus a third Stargate, unit is very common of a Stargate openers PvZ. We imagine it could easily be slotted in as a 3rd unit. Oh, come on, dude. That's not gonna... So Blizzard's having this fantasy, right? Of you opening 2 oracles and then making a Void Ray, right? This is what... They're like, okay, dude, listen. Bruh, listen to me, okay? And they're like, uh-huh. They're like this. They're like, uh-huh. Yeah. They're like, I'm writing it. He's like, look. You make 2 oracles. He's like, uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. You go harass, right? He's like, uh-huh, yeah. I'm riding a chief, yeah. And then, what do? He's like, I make a Phoenix. He's like, ah! You make a Void Ray. What am I gonna do with the Void Ray? You kill an Overlord. Boom. And he's like, but sir, we can just make a Phoenix. It's cheaper. And he says, this is why I'm the lead developer and why you're writing down in the notes, you little piece of shit. Okay, check this out. Uh-huh. After you kill the Overlord, it's completely useless. Is that right? Uh-huh. But now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna use those 2 oracles to use revelation, and you're gonna clear the fucking creep with that void ray. You're gonna clear the creep, dude. We found the use for a void ray. It's gonna kill an overlord, and then it's gonna kill 3 creep tumors. And the guy's like, oh my god, that's a great idea. But wait a minute. Sir? And he's like, yeah. But what if there's 3 queens? And he's like, what do you mean? But what if you're trying to clear creep and there's 3 queens? And he's like, fuck! Always queens. No matter what I try to fix in this game, there's always a queen. So I don't know how that's gonna work out, okay? Like, there's gonna be queens. How's 1 void ray and 2 oracles gonna clear creeper on the map? This is one of those things when you're like, you know when some games try to push like the lore onto the game, even though it makes zero gameplay sense, but they're like pushing the lore onto the game. I feel like this is the same thing. Like the void Jesus, the void ray mafia is getting to me. The void ray is so useless. They're like trying to push it into like let me ask you this. Why wouldn't you make another oracle and just use the fucking laser to kill the creep tumor? Why would you make a void ray? Oh yeah, because you can kill an overlord. Never mind. Okay, Blizzard, you're onto something here. You're onto something here. I mean, like, I'm sure it will happen, right? I'm sure this will happen. But are you really pushing a unit in the direction of clearing creep? Like that's its job, to kill an overlord or clear creep? I don't know, man. And also, same speed like Viking. Like, even now, do you know how hard it is to kite void rays with a Viking so they don't lock onto you? Because once they leech onto you, they will beat the shit out of you, right? If they have the same speed, how are you going to kite with Vikings early on versus void ray all-ins? Yeah, anyway. As for implications in another matchup, in PvT, void rays would notably gain the ability to chase... Sorry, I don't think I read that properly. Let me try again. As for implications in other matchups, in PvT, void rays would notably gain the ability to chase down banshees. That is, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry, Blizzard. Listen, I love StarCraft, but that sentence, I know it was from the town hall guy. Like, listen to me. No one will ever in their life make a void ray to chase down a banshee, because it is absolute dog shit for anything else. What, like, why would you... I just got tilted. Like, my blood pressure is rising. Why would you make a void ray that deals shit DPS just because it has same movement speed as a banshee? Phoenix is cheaper, deals bonus damage to banshee, and he's faster than a banshee. And you know what? On top of that, it can lift the widow mines, it can lift the siege tanks, it can lift the Hellions. In what world would you make a void ray? For what? Why? Oh my god. Like, sometimes they have these changes that where you're like, whoa. And sometimes they say people are gonna make void rays to chase down banshees. Bruh, no one's gonna do that. I'm sorry, no one's ever gonna do that. If someone makes a... I'm gonna make it for the meme. Next time I play, if this goes through, I'm gonna make a void ray to kill banshees. First of all, good luck finding a Terran that makes Banshees against Protoss. This is just... I gotta like... Yeah. And in PvP, we've heard feedback that this new Void Ray could potentially be used in proxy robotics defense. I mean, sure. Like, sure it can. Like, I mean, yeah, but you know what? It also can be used in proxy robotics defense? An Immortal or a Void Ray from before. Like, I mean, it's more helpful because it builds faster and it's cheaper. But I don't know. Robo units don't shoot up, so Void useful 400 IQ. Yeah. Also, Voider should be 3 supply. Can we all agree on that? Give me Pog in the chat if Voider should be 3 supply. No, don't type agreed. I don't speak that language. Yeah, we need Pogs. Pog. Like, 4 supply for what? It's trash. It's actually trash. Yeah, okay, there we go. I'm sorry, I just gotta scroll past this. I don't want to read that comment about Voiders chasing Banshees. Wait, Fluxmane's movements. Wait, they're increasing it more? Faster to... Oh yeah, Voiders go brrr. Dude, the Voiders are gonna be like this. This is a Voider. You guys ready? And then you have Corruptors like this. And Voiders like... Phoenix speed is 425, and this is going to be 511 with the upgrade? Man, should I redo Void Rays to GM if this goes through? This seems so ridiculous. Like, I don't know. This is so weird and silly to me. Like... Let's talk about lore, right? Let's talk about what makes sense. Does it make sense for a Protoss to have a unit that's faster than Zerg units? Phoenix speed is 595? Okay, so someone lied to me. But still, 511 is insane. Corruptor is 4.7. Endgame compositions that produce interesting dynamic games are often characterized by armies that consist of a combination of 2 types of units. First, there's slow, solid backbone, which often comes in the forms of siege things, liberator, lurkers, brutal, colossi, or carriers. Then you have the more mobile force that has the ability to poke and prod at the enemy fortifications, but still prevent fighting in combination with the backbone. Typically, these mobile armies consist of Biohelion, Cyclone, Zerg, Baneling, Zealots, and Dark Templar. All the races in the mirror matchups related to the race matchup combat is the least potent arm is the Protoss in the PvZ matchup would like to push the Voider into this direction it is close to fulfilling this role. The speed increase we propose to here aims to do this, and we see somewhat separate from the changes proposed in the previous section, which is a relatively different goal. For a reference point, this newly granted speed will just be under that of Hyperflight Rotor's upgraded Banshee. I'm sorry, but this is from a meme point of view, great. From a meme point of view, love it, dude. I would love to do a series with this. Love it, love it, love it. From a serious point of view, bruh. That's all I'm going to say. Carrier. Interceptors belonging to a carrier that has been neural parasited will no longer draw aggressions from units belonging to the carrier's original owner. Though this interaction isn't commonly seen these days, we'd like to bring it in line with units where believe. Okay, so it's just like a kind of like a fix, I guess, or I guess it's a change. Okay, cool. Tempest, new unit, new upgrade found on the fleet beacon. Tectonic destabilizers. Effect improves the Tempest resonance coil to deal plus 40 damage versus structures. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. How much damage will Tempest have with this upgrade versus buildings? $40 plus 40. How much does a missile turret have health? Or like a bunker or like a spore? Does anyone know? This change has the goal of granting Protoss players a tool which they can break spore crawler forests in late game, which we believe will discourage stalemates. This improvement to the Tempest comes in the form of an upgrade. Turret is 250. So you're going to be 3-shotting a turret with upgrades. What do you mean no? If turret has 250 health and you're dealing 80 damage per shot, you're going to be 3-shotting turrets. With upgrades. Guys, I said with upgrades. Like with like +1 or +2. I know 3 times 8 is 240. I said with upgrades. Interesting. So that would mean yeah, it will be on without any upgrades. It's going to be on fire. True. It's going to be lit. Huh. I mean, hey. Sure, I guess. I don't know what to say about that one. Sure, I guess. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. What do you guys in the chat think about these changes? Like, overall good, bad, like, what are you guys thinking? Like Baneling change and Oracle change, yeah, okay. I think Baneling change might be too big of a nerf. I don't know, but I feel like it might be too big of a nerf. The Voidery thing, I mean, memes, great. Like, from a streamer, YouTuber point of view, great. If I was a pro player, I would be, but like, what is this? Like, not necessarily as a pro Protoss player, but any player, I'd be like, what is happening? They recognize issues, but solved it the wrong way. Yeah, I would say that's kind of, yeah. I would say that's true. Why does Blizzard treat Protoss players like clowns? How would you change the void rate to make sense in a professional match? I honestly don't know. I think we're just so far away from what void rate was to where the game is. I honestly don't know. I think in order to save the void ray, you would need to just... I don't know. You would first need to pick a role for it. Like, for example, you can pick a role of it killing an overlord and killing 2 creep tumors. Or you can redesign the unit. But honestly, I don't know what Protoss needs. I genuinely don't know. Like, if you look at Protoss army, like, what do they lack? I don't know. But I do hope the changes go through with the Void Ray, because that's going to be some great content and great fun to just run around and kill bases and snipe things. Yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't know what would be the correct choice here, to be honest, boys. But I guess we will find out. When are these going live? I guess it's just on the test map, so they're probably gonna announce. Wait, this is only on the test map, right? It's not like live, right? Yeah, it's on PTR. Okay, yeah. All right. Well, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed my rant. I hope you enjoyed my TED Talk. I would love to hear your guys' opinion as well on this. I just think it just... I don't know. I don't know what to say. But I do think it's going to help Protoss in the pro level gameplay. I think it might be too big of a nerf to Banelings. We'll see. You never know. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Make sure to, I mean, if you're watching my videos all the time, just subscribe, you know? I mean, why not? Check out my Twitch as well. If you guys are on Twitch, also follow me on Twitch. I mean, come on, guys. But yeah, have a good day. Thank you for watching. For you guys on Twitch, let's keep going.